Hi, I'm Reba Hervis, Artistic Director at Overshadowed Theatrical Productions. Welcome to this week's episode From the Wings, and once again, Rebecca Leland by my side.
So good to be here, and it was so much fun to go to Boston.
We had such a great time, yeah?
So great.
Yes.
We filmed From the Wings, and then where'd we go?
We did the Freedom Trail. So
Yeah.
what is the Freedom Trail?
Yeah, so the Freedom Trail is something really, really cool that Boston has put together. Basically, all throughout the city for about 2 miles long, there are two bricks side by side, making an entire trail, this red brick trail all throughout the city.
So they literally say, follow the red brick road.
And it takes you to these historic landmarks all throughout the city. There's about 16 of them all together. We hit about 11 because we didn't go all the way to Paul Revere's house.
They told us that if we went all the way, that then coming back there was no direct route.
Yeah.
And so we figured, well, we still wanted to do a couple other things,
Yeah.
so we decided to only do 11.
But like only 11, not disappointing at all. And it all starts in the oldest park in the United States, which just standing there. What did you think?
It was so, first of all, beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's just, I can't get over how not crowded it is.
Yeah.
Now, maybe we just went in an off time. You guys will have to tell me what the hype season for Boston is, because I'm not sure. But I thought it would still be more crowded than it was, and it just wasn't.
No.
And so it was very pleasant to walk around and not feel like you were competing with all the other tourists.
Yes.
And just to stand there and see how beautiful it was, and we could hear, they have people dressed in costumes that give colonial tours, and I loved that. I already told Rebecca that when I retire, I want to be somebody in some city that gets to dress up and goes around and gives a tour like that.
I could totally see you doing that too.
So we didn't pay for a tour, but we kept hearing people along the way, so we'd get little snippets of things.
Yeah.
And the other thing that it has turned out that when we travel together, we always end up visiting a graveyard for some reason.
It's our
This time
thing.
we had two.
Yeah.
But even that, it was fun because it had some very famous people that were buried there. That was where Paul Revere was buried, as well as several other people.
John Hancock.
And, yes, and one of the things that we thought were very interesting is the tombstones, because they were looked almost like paper thin.
So thin.
And these people were buried in the 1700s, and you could not read what was on the tombstone hardly at all, except for the ones that had been taken care of.
Yeah.
And she also made the remark that she wondered how tall people were back then, because literally from one tombstone to the other was like 4 feet.
It looked tiny.
I don't think it was 5 feet. So I don't know whether they folded them up in their caskets or whether they didn't care and they just overlapped.
Yeah, We're not
I
sure.
don't know, but they didn't look like a normal size row between the next one. So I thought that was interesting. We've become experts on graveyards.
But there's so much history in a graveyard, right? And then it was even interesting to hear the different tour guides as we would go along. And then Reba bought this little book, which I loved that you bought that book. And what did the book basically go through?
And so it basically had each point along the way. And so it would say you are now at the Old North Church or whatever, and then it would give you like a page or sometimes 3 pages that would tell you everything that happened there and where to look and what to think and what came next, which was really great. The thing that I think that we found the most interesting is the Boston Massacre.
Yeah.
Because in my mind of not being a very good student, I guess when I was younger,
or even the way it's taught.
or maybe I just don't remember it, but I did not remember that it was part of what the colonists did to antagonize Britain.
I had never heard that.
I thought it was just because the paintings and everything that you see about it makes it seem like all of a sudden the British people just
lined up
and
took fire.
Took fire on the colonists, and we call it the Boston Massacre.
Yeah.
Instead, we find out from the piece of history that there was an apprentice that went around antagonizing people all day long, and on a hot day, sometimes tempers flare, and the next is history. Yeah. So I thought that was a really good lesson for us to learn today too, that sometimes people, the news tells the story slanted to the way they want it to hear. So I think that was the biggest lesson I learned from the whole trip at Boston, right?
Yeah, I love that.
I loved being on constantly being told, because these things are all really close together. So it's not like you had to walk a mile or two to get to the next one. It was literally, you walked out the steps of one church and to the left was this other building who did blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And being hit in that short amount of time with, this is where John Hancock did this, or this is where Benjamin Franklin did this.
So if you ever go to Boston, Freedom Trail is a must.
Oh, 100%.
So we were, right before we started our day, we were getting ready, and we got a comment on Instagram on our day before, how I said, oh, we're in Boston. And the person commented, a place where everyone knows your name.
Oh, yes.
And
I was like, what are you saying?
I
Yes.
said, what's that? And she goes, oh, you know, Cheers. And I was like, And she was like, no, like Cheers. And she was, we gotta look it up. And the actual place where it was
bar.
shot.
I don't know how many of you have ever watched the television show Cheers. Those of our younger viewers will not know what that is, but it was a sitcom several years ago, and the idea was it's this Boston bar and restaurant where you were on the street and you actually go down the steps.
So charming and so fun, and what a fun little Boston thing. And
so we give Boston 2 thumbs up for sure. Please make sure that you go visit that beautiful city, and please write back and tell us whether you liked it and whether you went, because we recommended it. In your journey to be a better actor or a better citizen of the United States, learning is so critically important. And sometimes that means you have to step outside of our comfort of our home and do research. And sometimes that means actually going places and hearing more and learning more about what America has to offer, and being willing to fight to keep it.
Amen. And it can even inspire you, because we were at one church and you made a comment that you thought that they had a performance there about something.
Oh, it was so sad. Yes.
So tell a little bit about that.
I was thinking they were going to have a play, because they had this beautiful picture of Samuel Adams, and he was in the bottom of the church, and you could see that it was a church that had like 3 sides, the way that they used to build them, where people were up and leaning over the balconies to the people who were talking below. And just that image made me think of how beautiful it would be to do a play about Samuel Adams leading the charge to inspire the people to have the Boston Tea Party and to rebel against what was happening to them in the government. And so I think it's inspirational as well.
Inspiring.
Yeah, absolutely. So sadly, they did not really have a play that did it. It was just a representative picture of what was going on.
Yeah, but inspired. It could be, something cool down the road.
Yeah.
Life is short, and we hope we inspire you to even take a 2-day trip with a friend to go to the United States, to go and be inspired by all the history we have here and all the culture, and go somewhere new and learn true history. Go out and experience the cities as they are, and be inspired to bring back to whatever city you're in, whether it be theater or anything like that, arts. Have a little inspiring trip. It's really worth it. Well, until next time, it's just me.
And me.
Talking to you from the wings.